To sew the straps of my bag, I'm going to be sewing at 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch is generically the edge of your presser foot. If you need to be more precise, there's a teeny line right here in front of the feed dog, so you can follow that. The edge of the presser foot is good enough. So I'm going to stick my fabric in here with the edge lined up there with enough space to do my back stitch. Hold on to these 2 threads and I'm going to back stitch to the edge. Let go of my threads. Continue forward, removing pins and keeping the edge always at the edge of the presser foot. Don't forget to backstitch at the end. There we go. I've got my seam 1/4 inch from the edge the entire way down the length of my strap. And then I'm going to trim the thread on this end and do my other one. There's my lovely 1/4 inch seam from the edge the whole way. And I trim my threads. It's always a good idea to trim your threads as you go so that they cannot get sucked back down into the sewing machine. The next step for sewing the straps of your bag is you're going to sew across one end. Only one end of your strap. I'm going to line it up here with my stitching to the back so that it pushes the fold open. Still at 1/4 inch. And you're going to do a good back stitch across like so. And one end of this one has been sewn. I'm going to leave that end open. And then I'm going to sew my other strap exactly the same. Trim all your threads. Okay, when I sew my pocket, I've got this opening I'm going to leave here. I'm going to start at the opening. At my 5/8 inch, I'm going to back stitch, and then I'm going to come forward. And then, here in the corner, to reinforce it when I pivot, I'm going to actually change my stitch length from a 2.5 average down to about a 1. And then I'm going to stitch to my 5/8 inch pivot. Make sure my needle is down in the fabric, lift the press foot, turn it, put it down. Then I'm going to go for about another 1/2 inch. It's about a 1/2 inch from each of the corners. Bring my stitch length back up to my 2.5. Come to about 1 inch from the corner, 1/2 inch. Go back to my shorter stitch. Make sure my needle is in the fabric, pivot. Stitch for about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch, bring it back up to 2.5. Stitch till about 1 inch from the end. Go down to my 1 inch. Stitch to my 5/8, needle down on the fabric, pivot. Stitch for a good 1/2 inch, bring it back up to my 2.5. Bring it down to 1. My 5/8 inch pivot. So for about a 1/2 inch. Return to my 2.5. And now I'm to my stop mark, so I'm going to put my back stitch. And now, I've got a back stitch at the beginning and end. I've got smaller stitches here than I do there, so the corners reinforced in each of the corners with nice pivoting. Trim your threads. Before I turn it right side out through my opening, These corners, if I fold right on that line, have to fit all this fabric right in there in the corner, and it gets kind of bulky and actually difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually trim here. To trim the corners, I'm going to cut straight across here. But I do not want to cross my stitches where they cross here. And I definitely don't want to cut there. To make sure I don't cut it, I like to put my thumb right here with my fingernail right on where it crosses, because I'm not going to cut myself. And there, I'm off just a little bit. But this time when I fold right on these two lines of stitching, it's going to fit inside the corner much better. Now you just repeat for all 4 of your corners. Make sure you don't cut your stitches. If you do, you're going to have to restitch. There we go, all 4 corners cut. And now, through my opening here, I'm going to turn my pocket right side out. This is going to make it so the inside of the pocket and the outside of the pocket both look nice. Once you've turned it right side out, use a pen that doesn't have the ink out or the eraser head of a pencil, and just gently push the corners out. Please be careful. You've now made it very close to the edge where the stitching is. If you push too hard, you'll push right through your corner. And you wouldn't want that. There we go. All 4 corners pressed out really nice. Now I need to iron this. See how there's kind of this divot here? I'm going to slide it back and forth so that my stitching is right near the edge. I'm going to iron it so it stays flat, and then I'll do some top stitching to keep it there. Okay, we need to trim this corner here because there's too much fabric to fit inside. To trim it, I like to put my finger right here and cut straight across without cutting through my X of stitching. So that when I fold on these 2 lines, it now fits in the corner much better. Once I've done that, I'm ready to turn my strap right side out. Whenever you're turning a tube right side out, the easiest way to do this is to kind of twist on it so I can grab both sides. And once I have both sides, I just start working and stuffing this into itself. Your strap is a little bit skinny, so the beginning part is going to be a little tricky. But once you get it going, it gets much easier. There we go. I got it started. Now I'm going to take a stick. I've got a dowel. You can use a pencil or pen or anything that's not sharp on the end, but skinny enough that it fits in your tube here. And then with the stick in here, I'm just going to slide this top layer of fabric down the stick. Just work my way all the way to the end. If I can make sure as I go, kind of pull this so it doesn't get as tight like that, it's easier. Because now I gotta get my stick back in here. There we go, got my stick back in. I'm just going to keep working like this. until I can see my right side through here. I'm just going to pull it off the stick and then pull this down. And now I have a lovely turned right side out tube of fabric. I'm going to twist right here on the points to try to get that point a little bit smoother. There we go. It's alright if it's not perfect. This is going to be in a seam. And then on this edge where I've got my stitches, I'm going to twist and work side to side to keep this right there instead of divoting like this. And then I'm actually going to iron it nice and flat so it stays there. And we'll do some top stitching to keep it there. Now I have to do my second one. There we go. Once you get it started, just take your stick, side it down so you can see the right side, pull it stick out. And there we go. 2 right side out straps. Now I need to iron. When you press your pocket, you're going to actually put the iron down, add a little bit of seam, and press, add some really good pressure. And count for about 10 to set that crease. Before you do this, you should make sure your edges are nice and turned so the seam is on the outside, and double check when you're done. To press your strap, you have to be a little bit more careful, and you're going to go inch by inch down the whole thing. As you go, you're just going to twist your fingers back and forth to put that seam right on the edge while having the iron press on the edge. Just kind of work your way down the whole thing. Feel free to slide the strap as you go and add good pressure. Make sure that seam is right on the edge by twisting back and forth. Once I make it all the way to the end, I like to go back one more time with some really good pressure and some steam to really set that crease in. We need to do some top stitching to keep them where we ironed. To top stitch, we are stitching either a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 of an inch from the edge of our fabric. You can choose which one you would prefer. I'm going to do an 1/8 of an inch so you can see what it looks like. The 1/4 inch would just be the edge of the presser foot. So I'm going to start right in here with the inside edge of the presser foot. That's an 1/8 of an inch. Back stitch to the edge with a normal straight stitch. and stitch straight down the side. Down here at the end, you can either pivot and turn, or you can just backstitch and start again, because we are going to have both of these ends in the bag, so it's not going to be seen. Your choice. Okay, and then make sure you do a backstitch here at the end. Trim your threads, and here we go. We got one of our straps that's been backstitched the whole way. We need to do the second one. Okay, number 2 top stitched strap. And now for our pocket, you can top stitch the whole thing, but we're going to actually be sewing it down onto our bag, which will top stitch 3 of the sides. So all you need to do right now is top stitch the side that's open, so that will not be open. This is a patch pocket. I'm going to stick with 1/8 just for consistency across all my pieces. There we go. 1 top stitch pocket, so now there's no openings.